Hello and welcome students to the Das Kadam series where I take up the previous year's CTET question papers and we attempt 10 questions at a time. You not only get the answers but also the explanations to those questions. The entire set of questions for this series, that is 1 to 10, 11 to 20 and 21 to 30, have been given in the description below. In this video, we are taking up CDP Practice Set 1, questions 21 to 30. This is based on the CTET Paper 1 administered on the 11th of January 2022. Let's begin. Question 21. A teacher wants to facilitate comprehension skills among her students. Which of the following should be avoided by her for this purpose? Concept mapping, decontextualizing, outlining, and summarizing. So the correct answer would be decontextualizing, which means when whatever explanation is given is not in the context of what the child actually feels. So if a child is from a village and you're trying to explain concepts which are city based, you're talking about flyovers or skyscrapers, but the child may not have seen, what you are doing is decontextualizing knowledge for her. All the other three, that is concept mapping, outlining, and summarizing, does facilitate comprehension skills, and the teacher should therefore avoid decontextualizing if she wants to facilitate comprehension among the students. Question 22. To facilitate a student's learning of a concept, the teacher should avoid making connections between new information and previous knowledge, focus on understanding the rules and definitions, attributes of the concept, mix essential and non-essential information related to the content to be taught, present material and information in highly abstract and complex forms. So the answer to this, what should the teacher do to facilitate students' learning of a concept? The teacher should always focus on understanding the rules and defining attributes of the concept. The teacher should not avoid making connections. Teacher should not mix essential and non-essential information, and the teacher should not present material and information in highly abstract and complex forms. The correct answer is 2. Question 23. Which of the following is not responsible for students' failure in academic performance? Boredom, stress, curiosity, or fear? So curiosity will not be responsible for students' failure in academic performance. While teaching a concept, a teacher is giving an example that has the most important core features of the category associated with the concept. Such an example is called a misconception, a non-exemplar, a prototype, or an exception, or an expectation. So anything which gives the core features of a category is called a prototype. That means something which is very similar to the type that is being made or being thought of. So the correct answer is 3, a prototype. Question 25. By encouraging students to reflect on their cognitive abilities to reach a specified goal, a teacher is facilitating the development of declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, metacognition, or rote memorization. So declarative knowledge is the knowledge which you declare to yourself. Procedural knowledge is knowledge of the procedure of doing something. For example, if I ask you to write a letter and you know that the date has to be written on the right hand side and person's name, that is procedural knowledge. Rote memorization is when you have just learned something by heart and you're putting it. But by encouraging students to reflect on their cognitive abilities, what the teacher is aiding is metacognition, which basically means knowledge about knowledge. That means I know that I know. So the correct answer is 3, metacognition. 26. While conceptualizing teaching learning process, National Curriculum Framework 2005 emphasizes upon the importance of active engagement and interactions, drill and repeated practice, rote memorization of content, stimulus response associations. The correct answer is 1, because the NCF and the NEPs do not talk about drill and practice or rote memorization or stimulus response. So active engagement, interaction, knowledge of real life situations is what the NCF 2005 talks about. Do remember that the core vision of the NCF 2005 is learning is fun and learning without burden. Question 27. To scaffold students in solving a problem, a teacher should confuse students by highlighting extraneous information, directly tell the answer to the students and ask them to copy it, to give cues that activate the relevant schemas, and or split the information in disconnected chunks. The answer is 3. Give cues that activate the relevant schemas, because that is how you will scaffold students, that is, build upon their knowledge so that they can solve the problems. We should not confuse students. We should not directly tell the answers to the students or give them disconnected chunks of information. Question 28. This is another assertion and reason. Assertion: during the teaching learning process, a teacher should give opportunities to students for sharing their misconceptions and alternative conceptions. Reason: misconceptions and alternative conceptions are always baseless and are insignificant in the process of learning. Choose the correct option. We have the same 4 options. Both are true, but R is the correct explanation of A. Both are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. R is true, but A is true, but R is false. Both A and R are false. So let's look at the assertion. Should a teacher give opportunities to students for sharing their misconceptions and alternative conceptions? Definitely, they should. So misconceptions and alternative conceptions are always baseless and insignificant. That is false. So A is true and R is false. So option 3 is the correct answer. Let's go to question 29. Learned helplessness occurs when a student believes that ability is improvable and focus is on mastery goals. Efforts impact ability and focus is on performance goals. The outcomes of academic activities are controllable. The outcomes of academic activities are uncontrollable. So to answer this question, you have to figure out what is learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a psychological state when a student has put in effort and failed and now totally believes that whatever effort he puts is absolutely going to lead to failure. So what will a student who has learned helplessness believe? Ability is improvable? No. Efforts to impact available efforts impact ability? No. So whether the focus is on mastery goals, that is mastering something, or performance goals, that is you have to perform something, the child does not believe that. Does the child believe that the outcome of academic activities are controllable? That means they can be controlled? No, because the child believes that whatever happens, he is going to fail. So that's uncontrollable. The outcomes is uncontrollable. So option 4 is the answer of a student's belief who has learned helplessness. Final question for this video, question number 30. Which of the following is an example of intrinsic motivation? Studying to avoid punishment by a parent, studying due to interest in an activity, studying to receive praise of a teacher, or studying to win a competition. So intrinsic motivation is motivation which comes from inside you. You are not being motivated by something which is outside, for example, a punishment which you want to avoid or a praise which you want to receive. So keeping that in mind, the correct answer is option 2, where you're studying due to interest in an activity.